Shri Sadgurave Namaha. Jai Guru. Tomorrow I am going to share with you a verse written by Mahayogi Sri Gorakhnath ji and Maharsi Mehi Paramhans ji Maharaj's commentary on that. Guru Gorakhnath ji's holy words say, Sapt dhatu ka kaya pyanjara ta mahi jugati bin suva Sadguru mile to uvre babu nahi to parle hua. Which means this body of ours is a case made up of 7 elements. In it is the individual unliberated soul held captive or encased like a parrot inside a cage, because it's ignorant of the skill or the art of getting liberated from this cage. If it, the soul, is fortunate enough to find a true guru, it can, by learning and practicing the right way, be emancipated, or else its salvation or deliverance is impossible and it is sure to undergo extreme suffering. Commentating on this verse of Mahayogi Guru Gorakhnath ji, Sadguru Maharshi Mehi Paramhans ji Maharaj says that there is a story behind this couplet of Guru Gorakhnath ji, and the story goes like this. Once upon a time there lived a hermit. He made his livelihood on alms, begging alms. Every day he would go to a limited number of houses and say aloud, Ram Ram kare bhav sagar tare, Ram Ram kare bhav sagar tare, which meant one who keeps on reciting, chanting the name of Lord swims across the ocean of existence. That is, transcends the cycle of birth and death. He subsisted solely on whatever he received from those few houses. One day, as he was asking for alms at a house, an encased parrot kept at the door of the house, who had been listening to his repeated chanting, Ram Ram kare bhav sagar tare, got annoyed and intervened. Baba, that is monk, why are you preaching a falsity? Why? What makes you say that, my dear? Asked the recluse. The parrot explained, what you say might be true in theory, in words, but it's not true practically. You might have learned this theory from some books or must have heard from some other sages and keep on repeating the same thing without having examined its truth. I know the reality. You see, my master has taught me to chant Ram Ram. What Mendicant said, that the one who chants, keeps on chanting Ram Ram, he goes across the bondage and becomes free. Now the parrot says him, my master has taught me to chant Ram Ram, and I have been doing this every day for several years. I needn't say I am here enslaved in this cage. Whereas, ironically, my friends never say Ram Ram and yet keep flying freely in the sky, enjoying the total freedom. Now, what would you say of that? The monk, who had been listening patiently to the parrot, said calmly, My dear son, it is true that you keep reciting Ram Ram regularly, have been doing so, but in fact you do not know the right way, the real art to do so. This is why you have been held captive in this cage. The parrot began to find interest in the talks of the sage. It requested, with a sparkle of hope in its eyes, the sage to teach him the right method. The recluse explained the method and asked him to practice it secretly and not to reveal to the master until he had mastered the art. The parrot did likewise. He had been taught to practice pranayam, that is, the exercise of holding or controlling the breath. Slowly, he became adept enough to hold his breath for several minutes altogether. So one day, when he saw the master coming to the cage for feeding, for regular feeding, he lay quietly in the cage. The master, when he came to the cage and opened the door to feed it, he found the parrot lying totally still. He shook it, thinking it might have gone to sleep. But when the parrot showed no response at all, no signs of movement, the master took him out of the cage, assuming it to be dead, and threw it outside his house. Zoom! The parrot flew away high into the sky, thanking the sadhu for teaching the right way. Baba Gorakhnath Ji Maharaj says, Maharsi Mehi comments, O imprisoned in the body soul, just as the parrot is encased in the cage, soul parrot also remains imprisoned in the cage of bodies. This body made of 7 substances which the Ayurveda names as body fluids, blood, muscular tissue, adipose tissue, bony tissue, bone marrow and nervous tissue, and generative tissue. That is, we could say that all the fluids, blood, then flesh, skin, fat, bone marrow, and generative fluids like semen and ovum, etc. Our body is made of these 7 elements in which the soul remains imprisoned or encased. Guru Gorakhnath Ji says that, where were we? Yes. O imprisoned soul, worship thou God, practicing how to hold breath. Thus you would be eventually freed of the fetters of the body. Otherwise, if you don't practice this worship or inner meditation, you'll have to suffer extreme miseries by having to fall into the trap of different types of body. To know the art of how to be free of the bondages of the body, seek the shelter of a true Guru. When such a Guru would bestow his grace or favor, he would teach you the right way or skill by practicing by practicing which you would be able to attain absolute salvation. There are 2 ways of stopping or restraining breath. The methods prescribed in Hatha Yoga, the form of yoga in which the emphasis is laid on physical disciplines and exercises, including breath control, to achieve withdrawal of mind from external objects, are difficult to practice and are fraught with risks, as the Chandalya Upanishad says, just as lions, elephants, and tigers are tamed or brought within control slowly and slowly, so has the breath to be controlled very carefully. Otherwise, a deviation or error may even kill the practitioner. On the other hand, breath control that is accomplished by practicing the Drishti Yoga or the meditation on the inner light as taught by Sants is absolutely safe and does not involve any risk to life. Consider a few illustrative hymns from the Sandilya Upanishad, which says, when the consciousness or attention becomes stilled at a distance equal to 12 times the width of a finger in front of the nose in the inner pure sky, the pulsation or beating of breath ceases. Here it is important to note that the distance which is mentioned here is symbolic and should not be taken literally. This is a symbolic mention, the truth of which, the significance of which is realized by practicing the inner meditation on light as taught by an accomplished guru. Again, the pulsation or beating of breath comes to a standstill when the attention gets focused in the realm of star located in the center of the eyebrows. All these are, you can see, abstruse hints to the practice of inner meditation. It continues, by practicing meditation for a long time in the inner sky with a mind detached completely from all sorts of uncertainties, resolutions or hesitations and desires, pulsation or beating of breath stops. To know the finer details or specialist knowledge of the way to meditation on the inner light, one should seek refuge of a true guru and serve him. Srimad Bhagavad Gita says, keep in mind that by respectfully paying obeisance, by serving and by enquiry, the wise person, that is he or she who knows, would impart you the wisdom, the knowledge. So, what is intended in this couplet of Mahayogi Gorakhnath is that the soul parrot remains imprisoned in the case of body, or could we say bodies, only because of the fact that it is oblivious of the right way, right skill to freedom, and just by worldly chanting, semantic chanting of certain words, freedom is not going to result. If we want to be free of the bodies and the resultant sorrows, then what is important is that we must learn the right tact to freedom and become free, fly free into the sky of salvation, as the parrot did when he learned the right tact from the begging mendicant. Thank you so much. Jai Guru.